thanks everyone. Please do let us know if you cannot hear me okay, but if not, so we'll just go ahead and get started. All right. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. Today's presentation is called Project Manager, From Project Manager to Impact Driver. But let me tell you what that actually means, because even if you're a PMO leader, portfolio program manager, this is for you. And here's why. Because what we're going to talk about today is preparing for the future of project management. And if you are in any of those roles, you need to know what's coming. And for some of you might already be experiencing this, so I'd love to hear that as well from you as we're going through this, if any of this resonates with you. So we'll talk about what that means in just a moment. To give you a little sense of who I am and what qualifies me to have this conversation with you today, I've got about 24 years experience total in the PMOs and program and project management space, helping to build capability inside organizations. And as I mentioned before, 15 years of that time was as a PMO leader inside organizations in the shoes of, the person that had to figure out how to get it done. I made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot of things that work and don't work, and I read a lot of the same books that you guys read, and I took a lot of the same courses that you guys have taken, and I can tell you from experience what works and what doesn't. After I was in that role of a PMO leader, I went off and started PMO Strategies because honestly, I wanted to reach a bigger audience. I wanted to help more people because what was happening is I realized that there was a system, an approach, and a way that I was having success and, building PMOs and implementing project management capability in organizations that were extremely change resistant. And I know that that's going to resonate with some of you. So I've got about 20 years total in coaching and developing project managers and PMO leaders. I also started a nonprofit called Project Management for Change. Now, some of you may have heard of this because we actually are global now. And what we do with this nonprofit is we host these events called the Project Management Day of Service. A lot of PMI chapters and other project management organizations have picked up these events. And what we do is we bring together project and program PMO leaders from all over the world to scope and plan projects for nonprofit organizations. And so many of these organizations suffer from the same challenges that we do. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough resources to get things done. Well, guess who knows how to solve that kind of problem? Project managers, because we deal with it every day. So we bring together these project managers to help scope and plan these projects and help these nonprofits achieve their critical business missions. And that means we're having a local and global impact in our communities using those skills that we have worked so hard to attain. So if you're interested in learning more about Project Management Day of Service or starting one in your city, you can check out change.org. Now, by the way, that is an entirely volunteer-run organization and has been for the last 5 years we've been running this organization. So you want to talk about a PMO and projects that really have all the odds stacked against them and still find a way to be successful? That nonprofit is a perfect example. So I'll share a little bit about some of my learnings from that process today as well. I also have about 16 years of board service experience, mostly in associations, nonprofits, PMI, for example, but also some corporate boards to help them, as an advisory function, to help them figure out how to further the project management profession through their work and services. And then I also have PMP and ProSci Change Management certifications. So I've got a lot that I can share with you based on my learnings and my experience. So I'd like to just go ahead and dig in. So we're going to start talking about the role of project management, the scope, the way that we're defining success with project management, and the focus areas. And then I'm going to give you my system that I use to address this way that we need to be thinking differently about project management and our role in supporting the furthering of project management, whether we're in a PMO or we're managing projects ourselves. So first, let's talk about the role. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go on a little bit of a journey of where it started and where it's headed. So when I think about where project management has been, and many of you probably, if you've been in this role for a while, this will resonate with you, it's been a very tactical function historically. All right, we've got this thing we've got to build. We're going to focus on specifically this thing, and we're going to go get it done. And then there was this shift to, you know what, we need to be more strategically minded, right? Any of you heard that? Anyone being told to be more strategic? And we need to look more holistically at the projects that we're managing and making sure that they're aligned with strategy. Some of you, I'm sure, are experiencing, yep, got it, that's what's happening now. Some of you are saying, I really wish we would do a little more of that. But that was this trend from tactical to more strategic projects. And now our role is shifting even more to become more entrepreneurial. And part of that is this push towards being more agile, and not necessarily big A agile, but certainly that too. A lot of the more iterative techniques to managing our projects, and the way that we have different people that maybe are in a product management role or in a product owner role, also that are kind of fighting for who's in charge, right? We have some of that goes on. But our role is being asked to be more entrepreneurial. We're being asked as project managers and project leaders to be more entrepreneurial. And that means we need to be able to think on our feet. We need to be able to respond in a more agile fashion to changes that need to happen. And so we can't just be this down and in, tactically focused role. And being strategic and strategically minded isn't even enough. And the reason for that is we really have to move forward with changes a lot more quickly. So regardless of the kinds of projects that you're running, and we'll talk about why some of that is in a minute, we're being asked to be more entrepreneurial. Now, what's next? What's coming after that? So we'll talk a little bit about this shift from tactical to strategic to entrepreneurial, and then we'll talk about how you prepare for what's next. We also need to talk about the scope of project management. Our scope has generally, historically, been very functional. We have this thing, this product, this service, this deliverable, this outcome we're creating. And that's the thing, and that's what we're focused on. We're focused on our functional business unit. Our projects historically were very, very focused on one business unit, one department, one product, one capability that we were building. And you had project managers in these particular business units that were very functional, focused on that particular area. Then what started happening is that we said, well, wait, hold on a minute. We now have these more enterprise-wide projects that are happening. So what you're doing over there impacts us over here. So we've got to start looking at these bigger picture projects. That's when things like an enterprise-wide PMO came into place, and we started seeing a lot of these functional PMOs, for example, getting pulled into an enterprise function. You started seeing a lot of consolidation of project management resources into a more consolidated function because we needed to, quote unquote, support the enterprise. But now what's happening is that it's kind of a little bit of both. Really, everything is interconnected. Think about the projects that you're managing in your organization. And even if you're in one business unit and doing projects for one business unit, the way organizations are structured now, you've got to hit almost every other part of the organization in order to effectively deliver that project. And not just on time, scope, and cost, right? But to make sure that you're getting the outcomes you're looking for. For example, your HR department might have an organizational change function in it, or you might have a whole separate change management arm to the organization. They need to be pulled into everything. And a lot of projects have an IT component, so we got to pull them into everything. And the way our organizational structure is now, it can't just be functional business unit, and it also can't be just sweeping enterprise. You've got to figure out where all those connection points are in the organization and be connected to everything to make sure that your project is successful. And what's next? We'll talk about that a little bit today, about how you prepare for this if you're not all the way down this interconnected path yet, and what's coming after that. Now, this is a big one for me, and we're going to spend some time on this today. Think about how you define success of your project. How do you know as a project manager, or if you're overseeing projects, how do you know that those projects are successful? Historically, it's been a conversation around triple constraint. We define success by on time, on scope, or on budget, and on budget. And oh, by the way, sometimes we even gold plate it and we're like, boom, we knocked that out of the park. Well, yeah, but what happens if nobody actually uses what you've created? So then we start saying, well, we've got to have benefits, right? We've got to have benefits that we're measuring to make sure that the project actually delivered on those benefits. I'm sure you've all heard that, and we've got to be more benefits focused. But that's not enough, because now we need to start thinking more about